My recent obsession with collecting houseplants started mainly because I started taking some cuttings from Coleus from outside, and I decided to grab a couple of companions for them to try to overwinter them indoors. Next thing I know, I started collecting a few of them, and little by little, I started making my own orphan jungle. This corner where I have them all together is surrounded by windows. I have a window on the east side where I have a few plants arranged by themselves, and I also have another window on the south side that it gives plenty of sunshine throughout the whole day. I have two more windows that bring quite enough light on the other side of the room, so this room is the perfect location for the houseplants that I have. I wasn't sure what to do with this corner, but after watching a few tutorials on how to paint some arches, I decided to make my own, and I think that it came out pretty good. The hardest part was to decide what color to do, but that shade of yellow, I think that makes the room quite bright as well. I am not a big fan of putting things in front of the window, blocking the light. That's just a personal choice. So I am trying to keep things on the side and away from the windows as possible. I know that's not what one should ideally do when it comes to houseplants, but I think that I can make it work. To be honest, I do love the plants that I have in those two hanging baskets in the corner, but I am not sure that I like the design of the hooks and how the hanging baskets look like. I am still thinking about what I really want to do. I don't hate the look, but I don't love it either. So for right now, I think that they look okay. I'm going to leave them there for the time being, and I'll decide in the future what to do with them. Like I mentioned, this room gets plenty of light, and it also, because of that sunshine throughout the day, it gets pretty warm. So I know that these houseplants are definitely happy with the amount of sunshine and with the temperatures in here. When I decided that I was going to be collecting a few of these houseplants, I told myself that I was not going to be making any huge expenses as far as furniture or decor for them. So I decided to use things that I already had and also look for good deals on thrift stores. I found a great deal on terracotta pots from the Facebook Marketplace. And also I found these two gorgeous tables at a local thrift store. I paid $3 for each one of them, and I think that they look just great with all the earthy tones and the neutral colors that I have going on in this room. This one piece of furniture that I have here, collecting most of them, I had it already from a few years ago. I honestly cannot remember where I purchased it. I like it because it's an earthy tone and it's neutral, but I don't think it's the best piece because it doesn't let the light through. It sort of blocks the light from one side to the other, but it works for right now. And I also found these two pieces of metal stands. I am not really sure what you use them for, but they hold my pots really, really well, and they are heavy duty, so I know that any pot that I can put in here of any size is just going to do well. This one right here is holding my hardleaf philodendron, and I like the combination together. It's nothing fancy, but it adds height and it makes the plant that it looks great look even better, in my opinion. Let me start by the hanging plants that I have by the arch corner. This right here is a Hoya Krimson Queen. I really love Hoyas. I think that I'm finding out that I am going to be a huge fan of them, and I can't wait to start my little Hoya collection. This plant doesn't seem to be picky at all. I probably have been watering every, I don't know, every week and a half. It doesn't really need that much water, and as I go with houseplants, I am learning and I am trying to be as careful not to overwater them, and I think that this Hoya is just liking where it's at right now. Another plant that I am a huge fan of are Scindapsus. This one right here is a Scindapsus Pictus or satin pothos. I absolutely love the shape of the leaves and the design, the pattern that this plant has. I have it right now in this container that I kind of self-made with some cords, and I make holes in this metal container to make it a hanging basket. It works for right now. Like I mentioned, I am not completely in love with the look, but it works for right now. And I'm finding that Scindapsus overall are not super picky, at least in my opinion. But again, I have only been dealing with them for a few months now, and we are going into winter. So probably the next tour that I'm hoping to do here in a few months, I'll let you know how everything is going. But so far, I am having very good luck with them. Next is one of my favorites. It's a Monstera deliciosa. It's already a huge plant. I saw it locally and I fell in love with it, and I believe that I paid $35 for this huge plant. I took a couple of cuttings from it already, but right now I have it in its original nursery pot, and I have it in a cute plant stand that I bought at TJ Maxx. And I even grabbed a couple of climbing poles. I'm not sure what they're called, but I think that it really likes this little corner over here. I am probably giving it water maybe once every 2 weeks. I am trying to be very carefully not to overwater things, and I bought a bunch of these plastic saucers to put under my plants just to make sure to add that extra protection just in case I add a little too much water at once and they overflow. But so far, my plants seem to be doing well, and I am pretty positive that they're going to make it throughout the winter. This one right here is my Scindapsus Exotica. This one has huge leaves, and I honestly think that this is probably my favorite Scindapsus of all so far. It's kind of in the back there next to the Monstera, and it doesn't mind that it doesn't get much straight light. And I think that the plant is really loving what it is, because I have had this for a little bit now, maybe over 2 months. It doesn't look like it's struggling. In fact, it has a bunch of new leaves coming through, and I think that the plant is just happy. This one right here is my Regal Shield Elephant Ear, and I have it in the original nursery container where it came from, and it's still a small plant, I believe. I think that this gets quite huge, and it's on top of these plant stand that I'm calling it. It's the one that I found at a thrift store, and I have it inside this ceramic container that I love, and it seems to be doing well. I have those 2 leaves in the middle are brand new to the plant, so I think that it's doing quite well. I'm actually a little bit scared because I think that it tends to get quite big. So we'll see how it does. I might have to gift it to someone with more space, but so far it's loving it here. And I have this little guy, this little saucer in here, so that when I water, the water doesn't go everywhere. The leaves are absolutely amazing. They have these lime green color veins, but the leaf itself, it's a dark green color, and the contrast is just amazing. On one of my last videos, I show you how I divided another Monstera deliciosa, and this right here is one of the small divisions that I took. Leaves that I took from it are struggling a little bit, but there is a new brand leaf coming from it, and it's just going to take time, but I think that it's going to be okay. And I have this terracotta pot on top of my humidifier. By the way, the last time that I purchased a humidifier was when my now teenagers were babies, and my goodness, humidifiers have come a long, long way. I did a little bit of research comparing a bunch of different models and companies, and I decided that I wanted to get this one for so many reasons. I like so many things about these guys, and no, they're not paying me to say this. This is just my experience. It has a timer that I can set for 1 through 12 hours throughout the day. So if I don't want to have it on the whole time, I can just have it for a couple of hours. It has temperatures for the mist that is coming, either cool or warm. It has a child lock button there at the very bottom. I don't have any smaller kids, so I don't have to worry about this part here, but honestly, I can talk over and over about all the little things that I love about this humidifier, but I think that one of my favorite things about this humidifier is the fact that I can move the area where the mist comes from to one side or the other in a 360 area, and I think that that's probably one of the things that I love most about this humidifier. I am still trying to figure out what my plants like, what this room does during the winter, and like I mentioned, I am very new to this whole houseplant collecting, so I am just learning how the plants do, especially now that winter is almost upon us. So I'm happy to do what I can to help the plants, but I also don't want to be attached to a routine that I won't be able to keep up with. So having the humidifier 1 or 2 hours here and there, I think that it's plenty for right now. Next to my humidifier, I have a small propagation station, which I like to call it. I only have a few cuttings from the plants that I already own, and I am mostly experimenting with the cuttings to see how well they do, how well they propagate. And so far, the pieces that I have here in water are doing okay. They're not dying, so that's always a plus. I am not going to go into much detail on what I have here. I have cuttings from the Hoya Krimson Queen. I have some Philodendron Micans, a piece of Coleus that I took from outside a while ago. It's still in water, doing okay. And I also have a Scindapsus Pictus that it's taking its sweet time to show me any roots. It has been here for almost 3 months, and it's not really fast as far as growing new roots. And I have it in this cute propagation setup that I found on Amazon. By the way, I will add all the links that I have as far as things that I have for this room that I could find on Amazon. So if you're interested, just check the information on the description for any links that I might have. I did not mean to have a piece of this Peperomia incana. This was an accident. The main plant, the main mother, took a fall earlier in the week and it got chopped off on the very top. So I decided to just put it in water and hopefully it does something so that I can start a new plant, because it's a huge piece, and honestly I'm not really sure if I was supposed to cut the leaves or put the stem straight into the water, but it's here, has been here for a couple of days, and like I said, it's not dying, so it's doing okay. On this little table that I have right next to my east side window, I have 3 plants that I absolutely love. They're completely different from each other, but they have a special place in my heart. Let me start by showing you this Philodendron Micans. I love this plant. The leaves have this velvety feel touch, and the new leaves come out this light iron brownish color, and they mature into this darker green hue. I absolutely love this plant, and it's still in its original nursery pot, but I have a plan for them that I might show you in another video. Next to it, I have this Pilea peperomoides, I think that's what it's called, or money plant, Chinese money plant, and it is really happy right now where it's at. I keep turning the plant around so that the light doesn't make it flat on one side. But look at this baby that it has on the side. I love this plant, and I think that it needs to have a bigger pot and definitely needs to be repotted. But we are going into winter, so I don't want to mess up with the roots right now. I think that I might just wait. And do that in the spring. But I have it in this cute terracotta container where I just water it and forget about it. And again, I try not to overwater this plant, so this one right here probably gets water every week or so. This one right here, it's another one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. If they are here, if they made it to this video, it's because they're my favorites, honestly. This one is a Pilea glauca aquamarine, or baby tears. I love these plants. The vines, the stems are this dark red color, but the tiny leaves that it has are this beautiful shade of almost saturated green color. Personally, I feel that this plant is a little bit high maintenance. It likes water, but if I wait a little bit too long between waterings, it starts dropping the leaves kind of everywhere. They start drying and browning, and it's a huge mess. I have it in this candle holder that I found at a thrift store, and I love it. I love the look of it because it adds the heights that it needs. So I think that this candle holder is just the perfect spot for this plant. I love it, and it's just very neat looking. I mentioned that I am really loving this terracotta look, and I think that eventually I will have mostly terracotta pots for my houseplants, but it's still a long way to go. My neighbor gave me this string of buttons. We are 80% sure that that's what these are called. I love it. These were supposed to go to my daughter's room, but it doesn't fit on the shelves that she has, plus it doesn't have a drainage hole. So I have been meaning to divide this into a couple of containers. I am not the biggest fan of this planter, but I am keeping it right now right next to this hardleaf philodendron, which I absolutely love. It is giving me a bunch of vines, and I think I have an idea that I want to make it crawl onto the wall, but I haven't had the time to figure how I'm going to do that. But I love the heart shape of the leaves. I think that the plant is very happy here. It's on top of this piece of furniture that I have. It's a bookshelf or cubby holder, whatever you call it, and I think that it really likes it here. This one right here is a combination of 2 strings. I have strings of hearts and strings of arrows. I love how they just cascade onto the piece of furniture, and they're very gently looking. I don't have to do much for this one. I just water it maybe every 2 weeks or so. I am trying to do bottom watering because I think that's what the plant likes, and I think that it likes it here. And I cannot wait until this plant is really long and it just becomes a huge statement next to this piece of furniture. Another one of my favorites, and one that I was kind of worried about, is this Calathea. I don't know the specific variety of this one, so if you know it, please let me know in the comments below, because I would love to know. But it's doing quite well where it's at. It has these gorgeous, gorgeous, huge green leaves that have this shade of purple underneath it, and I just love this plant. I was worried about this one because I was told that it's really picky and that it needs a lot of maintenance, but honestly I think that it likes me because it's doing quite well. I have a bunch of new leaves on the very top, and I just enjoy this plant so much. The new leaves start this lighter green color, and they mature into a darker green color, and you can see the difference from the baby ones on the top and the older ones at the bottom. And my goodness, I'm in love with this plant. And like I mentioned, Coleus are the reasons why I started collecting houseplants. These are some of the Coleus cuttings that I took from outside. I started putting them in water to get them to grow some roots. And once the roots were big and healthy, then I moved them into some plastic containers. I recently moved all of those into terracotta pots because I think that I like them better there as far as cosmetics go, and they're doing well. They are really liking it here. I did had a couple of them go bad, but I think that's just what happens sometimes, and I'm not complaining so far. I think that they're going to make it, guys. Another unique houseplant that I have is the string of turtles. I love the texture and the shape and the pattern of the leaves of this one right here. It's quite slow. It hasn't grown that much, but it's not dying, so I think that I'm already winning there. I absolutely love everything about this plant. And when I first bought this little guy right here, I thought that it was a Hoya Hope, but I was told that it's a Peperomia Hope, and it doesn't matter what she is called. I think that it's gorgeous, and the leaves are just absolutely divine. I have it next to this little guy right here that my neighbor also gave me, and I am not really sure what this one is called, so if you know the name of this one, let me know in the comments, please, because I will really appreciate it. It has new leaves growing on top, and it has new leaves growing on the side. I think that definitely needs to be potted up into a bigger container, but I'm going to leave it there for a little bit because I definitely do not want to mess with the roots. And these two containers of terracottas next are just holding some of my cuttings from Coleus that I took from outside. They're doing well. I think that they maybe need to be turned around more often than what I'm doing right now. But overall, I'm happy with how they're growing and how they're doing here. My Stephania Erecta that my dog accidentally broke is still hanging in there. I don't see any signs of new growth yet, but I am not giving up. I am going to keep on watering it and giving it some light, and hopefully one of these days or months I'll see something new growing from it. And this one right here is probably the one ornamental sweet potato vine that I have that is not looking its best. It's definitely not quite great looking right now, but it does have some new growth at the very top, and I still have a little bit of hope that it's going to be okay. I have it next to this snake plant that I absolutely love. The contrast of the leaves in this basket are just one of my favorite things to look at, and I'm hoping that it's not too much light for it. I know that they handle low light quite well, but I am not sure about how they do in a really bright spot, so I'm hoping that it's okay. Right next to this snake plant, I have another small table with other plants, and I have a shelf with a bunch more plants that are definitely getting the brightest part of the room. They're right next to the south facing window, and it is really bright in here. I am hoping that the plants do well with this much light, and I try to make sure that the direct light doesn't touch them that much. This elephant ear that I have here right next to the window, it's doing quite well. I love the velvety look of the leaves of this one. I found it locally and I just fell in love with it. I have these plastic saucers like I mentioned, even though the big container where I have it, it's waterproof. I just like to add that extra layer of safety when it comes to water. But look at those leaves. They are absolutely amazing, and I just love this elephant ear. Right next to it, I have a couple of Coleus here that I have in these terracotta pots. They're doing quite well. This is probably the best looking Coleus that I have in one of my containers. I keep forgetting to turn it around, and you can see the back side of it. The leaves just kind of face one way. I do my best sometimes to turn the plants so that they don't just become flat on one side, but sometimes I forget. And this other one right next to it, it's supposed to have a little bit more pink color on it, but I think that the quality of the light is just not enough to make this color pop. But I honestly, it doesn't matter to me because I just love that they are thriving and that they are growing and they're giving me new leaves kind of everywhere. Right behind it, I have another Scindapsus Exotica. This one is a smaller plant that I have inside this ceramic container. I wanted to make it look taller, so I am using one of these candle holders, I believe. I found this one at Hobby Lobby, and it gives me plenty of height for this one container, and I think that it just makes the plant look a lot better next to everything else. Like I said, the leaves of this Exotica plant are just amazing. They're huge. The pattern of them are just so lovely. I just love anything that has huge leaves and patterns all over it. I am experimenting with cuttings and propagating, and this piece of Monstera deliciosa, this cutting, I took from my main Monstera deliciosa that I have by the arch, and I make sure to cut enough of the cutting to have that aerial root there, and I am hoping that here in the next few days I can start seeing something growing from it. I have only had this here for about 2 days or so, so I am not worried about it not having anything just yet, but I feel like it's just lovely. It's just a lovely piece to have there in that vase. I was talking to another gardener online on Instagram about taking cuttings from Monsteras, and he mentioned that he has quite a few cuttings from them in vases all over the place, and they can live there for months. Right above those cuttings, I have a wooden shelf, a floating shelf where I have other plants, and I have that frame that I think that just makes this little area look together. And honestly, I love looking at it. I love the contrast of the darks and the greens and the light of the room. I wanted to paint this wall a dark color originally, but I'm glad that I didn't. I am very happy so far with how the plants are doing here. This one right here is my Peperomia incana. This is the one that took a fall that it broke a huge piece of one of the branches, as you can see here, and that's the piece that I have in water in my propagation station. The plant is doing well. I had to add this bamboo stick in the middle to kind of hold the one piece together because it was leaning on one side after the fall, but so far it's doing really well and I'm happy. And one of the things that I am really excited about are these two ornamental sweet potato vines. As you can see, they are thriving. These are cuttings that I took from outside. I put both of them in this container and look at all the growth. All that green, lighter green is new growth, and I think that the plants are doing well. I might just add some sort of guiding piece to it. And right here is my lovely, another one of my Philodendron Micans, and I love this little guy, and I actually found this ceramic container at a thrift store and I just love it so much. And with that, I conclude the houseplant tour, my first one ever. I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope that maybe you took a few ideas here and there for your own houseplants, and I know that I am very excited about what the plants could do for this little corner for me. I honestly enjoy taking care of these plants so much. And like I mentioned, I'm very new to this whole houseplant collecting thing, so right now I'm just working on getting to know the plants, getting to know what they like, what they don't like, and seeing if I can keep them alive. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't subscribed, maybe today is the day. Thank you for being here, and until the next time.